All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this spring equinox ritual. I am so excited. So, the spring equinox is a time when dark and light have come into equilibrium, right? So, we are in between the winter solstice, which is the longest night of the year, and the summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. So traditionally, the spring equinox was actually the marking of the new year. And it was the marking of the new year until the 1750s. Okay? So, like, let's just put that into perspective here. It has been a little bit longer than the length of the United States has been around that people started celebrating the new year as January. Okay? Because the spring equinox, if we think about it, it is this time where light is starting to come back. Our days are getting longer. Spring is that energy and feeling of newness, of the flowers budding, right? January, especially here in the Northern Hemisphere, January is exactly in the Northern Hemisphere, everything's waking up. January is in the middle of fucking winter, right? Like, what is the winter season? It is death, it is decay, it is darkness, it is slowing the fuck down. Animals hibernate, we turn inward. So, it's really interesting, right? We see so many people January 1st, the first week of January, like, I'm going to get back into working out. Here are my resolutions. Here are all the things I'm going to change. And inevitably, within a few weeks, the majority of those people fall off. And in my opinion, not because they don't have the willpower, but because it's not the season. It's not the season. And I think over the last few years, especially, women like us, women on the path of the feminine, have been realigning to the seasons and cycles of nature, of the world, and to our own internal seasons and cycles, right? So we all have internal seasons, and you might be in different internal seasons in different areas of your life. So your relationship might be in this like summer full bloom, and your business might be in fucking winter, right? Where it's like slowing down, letting things die, letting things go, or vice versa. And so one of the biggest things that I think has made such a monumental difference for me in my own life is embracing seasons and the cyclical nature of life in general across the board in every area, but also specifically when it comes to the calendar, right? And so I've been giving myself permission, especially over the last year, to align my business more to the seasons and cycles of the calendar. And again, I live in the Northern Hemisphere. I live in Pittsburgh. So, we're in this weird place where it's like, are we Mid-Atlantic? Are we Northeast? Are we the Midwest? Nobody knows. Nobody also really wants to claim us. But the point is, we have all four seasons here, you know? And I don't blame them. It's a weird fucking place. And I grew up here. But um, really beginning to align my business with the season. So this past winter, I gave myself a lot of permission to not create. Like, unless I really wanted to create, I wasn't forcing and pushing, like, I need to get a mastermind out. Nobody, yes, exactly. Thank you. You get it. It wasn't forcing myself, like, let me put out a mastermind for the people who want to start the year off and rah, 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 rah. That's so masculine, but more so it's patriarchal and capitalistic, right? Where it's like, we gotta hit the ground running, make it happen at the beginning of the year, or else, like, our year is fucked. And, it's interesting with the spring equinox, especially because we're coming into the end of Q1, right? Where everybody and their effing mother is like, Q1 numbers. And it's like, that's funny because internally, we're just starting to feel like we're coming back to life, right? So there can be this push-pull of like external markers of yes, exactly. Taxes are more aligned in this cycle. There can be this push-pull of like the external markers of success, validation, what society tells us, like the timeline we need to be on. And then those of us who truly are on the path, yet nobody's a fan of taxes, truly on the path of the feminine, feeling this pull to like operating in a different way. So one of the main reasons why I love hosting rituals, and I have a membership called the Red Temple where we do monthly new moon rituals, but I love hosting rituals, especially on the equinoxes, on the solstices, because they really are this massive portal, right? And if anybody's really into astrology, which astrology is not my forte, we're in a really fucked up place right now astrologically. Like there's my interpretation of it. We're between eclipses, Mercury's retrograde, Venus is retrograde, other planets are fucking around in signs they probably shouldn't be in, and everybody and their mother's fucking feeling it, right? And then we have the spring equinox. Oh, we just had a full moon, you know? So it's like it's an intense time, but again, the spring equinox historically has it's been a fire festival because again, it's about bringing light back. It's about bringing like re-blooming and shedding the old. So that's a lot of what we're going to be doing today on this ritual. So how I love to host rituals is we talk a little bit. Yeah, it was so intense. And honestly, like I was surprised personally. Well, so it was a Virgo eclipse, which I'm Virgo rising, and I was like, I got this. Like I've done so much work lately. Knocked me on my motherfucking ass. I was like, I can't even move, I'm too tired. And then today as well, I was like, wow, I'm wiped out. Yeah, exactly. And so anyways, how I love to do rituals is we're gonna talk a little bit. We're gonna be doing some embodiment practices. So we'll be going through some breath work, some pleasure practice, movement practices. We'll do a meditation. There'll be time for journaling. So if you need to, and it'll probably be roughly an hour from here on out. So if you need to grab any drinks, water, tea, champagne, whatever the F you want to be drinking, girl, I'm down for all of it. Um, get a notebook if you want to light a candle, if you just kind of want to like set your space up, feel free to do that. Yeah, get some H2O. Um, and I'm gonna let me turn my little speaker back on here and we'll just play some music for everybody while we let people kind of get themselves situated.
Gentlemen sacrifice in the whole sea. It's something shiny, something needed for the main course. It's a final looking high horse. What you got in the stable? Leave the Lord of Star and faithful. That looks tasty, that looks plenty. This is hungry work. Take me to church, shout like a dog and shrine of delight. I'll tell you my sins so you can sharpen your knife. I'll believe my death.
So before we go ahead and really dive in here to the ritual, I see some new faces and I just like was a horse trying to get out of the stable and just went full steam ahead. And I know so many of you are going to be watching the replay. So I want to give you a little bit more of who I am and how I came to be doing the work that I do. So I'm Lauren Joyce. My company is called The Magnetic Woman. I help women reclaim their feminine power through pleasure. And I grew up going to Catholic school. I went through 10 years of Catholic school. I mean, it was to the point where I thought I was going to be a nun. So, nun to sex coach, that pipeline. But I was deeply ingrained with Catholic Catholic mentality, right? So like my home life was not strictly religious. Like my parents were not very religious, but day in and day out for 10 years in Catholic school, and if anybody's gone to a religious school, it's like, it's not just like, oh, you have religion class. It's like all of the curriculum ties back to that religious programming. So, history class, you're learning about the Inquisition. And of course, it's like we were the good guys and they were the bad guys, right? Because it's the one true faith over here, the Catholics. Or even like, oh, Protestant Reformation, those bad guys decided to go their own way, but we were, it's like, so I grew up very good girl, high achieving, so good in school, like on the path of get straight A's, go to college, do well in college, get a job, do well at the job, meet a boy in your like late teens, early 20s, get married, probably have a bunch of kids, and be that very good girl. Then, when I was in high school, I was like, actually, I don't think I believe in any of this. I left Catholic school and I was like, I don't believe in anything. There's nothing. Just the end. Wrote it all off. And then when I was 25, my dad passed away. And I was like, well, I don't believe in religion, but I feel like there's something, and I don't know what it is. And simultaneously, not knowing how to handle my grief, I made a commitment to myself that I was only going to allow the loss of my father to define me in a good way. Because at that time, I had a lot of people coming up to me who were like, oh, I lost my dad however long ago. And like, I've never recovered. And basically, like, I can't hold down a job or I can't hold down a relationship. And I was just like, this is not, I can't, no. I'm 25. I'm too young to just be like, okay, life's over because of this. And I also really got the lesson of like, time is not promised. My dad was in his 50s, you know? And I was like, I only want to do things that make me happy. So fast forward a few months, I found myself in New York City at Mama Gina's School of Womanly Arts, which if anybody knows Regina Thomas Howard, she wrote the book Pussy, a Reclamation. She had not written that book in 2013 when I was working with her. She wrote a book called The School of Womanly Arts, which was all about pleasure and like enjoying life. And I'm like, this sounds great. Sign me up. Here's my credit card. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. So this sounds perfect. And the first day of the course, it was in person. Regina struts on stage, and within about an hour, she goes, your power is your connection to your pussy. What the fuck did I just sign up for? And all of my Catholic conditioning and my inner little nun was like, get out, get out now. But something in me was like, I don't know what this is, but I know I need it. And I know that this is something that like my body, I had this visceral reaction of like, this is what I need. And I was hooked, right? So Regina's talking about goddesses and sensuality and pleasure and all of these things that I've either been told are going to send me straight to hell or were something to avoid, like not talk about, not think about, and had never even heard of. And so as I'm learning this, I also find myself really moving through my grief in quite a healthy way. And I was feeling happier and more confident than I'd ever felt in my life. And I'm like, okay, there's something to this. And the more I wanted to lean into my feminine, the pleasure, the sensuality, my desires, the more I had to confront my religious programming and my religious conditioning, the more I had to look at what actually feels true for me spiritually. And that's when I really started feeling pulled into what I call the sacred feminine. So for me, the sacred feminine is a connection to the divine feminine, so a goddess or goddesses. It's ritual, it's ceremony, it's really this remembrance of how people engaged in spirituality pre-Christianity. So things like the spring equinox, right? And so I just have been over the last decade deconstructing all the religious programming as I step more into my feminine power and to pleasure, coming back into a spiritual practice that is embodied and not let me get up and out of the body or let me go through some old man to tell me the way to practice my spirituality and if I'm good enough or if I'm holy enough. And really reclaiming these ancient feminine arts, these ancient feminine practices and rituals. So that's one of the main reasons why I love hosting rituals on these days of celebration, these vortexes, these like sacred feminine holy days, however you want to view it. And again, when I began to really shift my life to more cyclical, more related to the sacred feminine, allowing myself to align more with the sacred feminine calendar, it it was like I could exhale, right? I wasn't holding on to everything so tight, needing to do things on a certain timeline, needing to check all the boxes, needing to be perfect. And again, the path of the sacred feminine is the path of reclamation, and specifically reclaiming all of the things that we've been told as women are wrong, bad. Exactly. Who defined it? That's my one of my favorite questions. Like, according to who? But reclaiming all of the things that we've been told are wrong, bad, dangerous, taboo for women, right? All of the things that we've been told are basically going to get us sent straight to hell. The path of the feminine is the reclamation of that. The path of patriarchal religion is the path of renunciation, right? It's all about deprivation and renouncing the pleasures of life. Like Lent is the time to give up the things you love the most. The path of the sacred feminine is like, indulge, motherfucker. Indulge in the things that you love because it's your pleasure. That is your offering to the divine, not your suffering, right? And so, again, for me, hosting these rituals, one is just a beautiful way to be in touch with the community, but also to hold this space for other women to step more deeply into your own feminine power, feminine leadership, feminine energy. And I will be completely upfront about this. I firmly believe that it is the feminine that leads. It is not the masculine. It is the feminine desire. It is the feminine vision. It is the feminine sensuality that leads. And so bringing you into your feminine power and feminine leadership means owning the fact that it's your feminine that needs to lead. It's your body that needs to lead. It's that sensuality. It's the desire. It's your vision, right? But again, we've been taught for the last 2000 years, thank you, Christianity and organized religion, that not only does the feminine not lead, but it is so beneath the masculine. It is so below. It is so worth less than the masculine. And in fact, it's the thing to overcome. It's the thing to like that tempts the man and then creates the fall of humanity. So no matter what, like, it doesn't matter if you grew up with religious conditioning, like directly, we all have religious conditioning because, as I say all the time, chances are your ancestors came from a country that either was ruled by the Catholic Church or colonized by the Catholic Church or Christian church, right? So it's like these motherfuckers did a really great job of propaganda and like spreading this BS all over the world. And now those of us who are like, no, I want to be in my power as a woman. I want to feel wild and untamed and unleashed. have to unpack a lot of religious conditioning. And I think one of the most beautiful acts of like revolution in that way is celebrating these sacred feminine holidays, is being in ritual on days like the equinox and the solstice. And I just feel so grateful that, especially over the last few years, we've seen this explosion of women feeling connected to words and archetypes and energies like priestess and witch and really engaging in these days because, again, it just feels like such a reclamation. So, with that, um, I'd love to know from you who are here live, and if you're on the replay, feel free to share this with me as well. But what is your desire right now? Like, what is really alive for you that you want to be creating or bringing into your life? Now, if you're not sure, it'll probably become clear through the ritual. If you know, you can share it in the chat. But again, the spring equinox is about the budding new life, planting these seeds that are going to grow over the next year. So, what are the desires that you're ready to plant? So, I'll just like let you sit with that for a moment and then we'll dive in. The speaker wants to work.
Don't ask us or king when the ritual begins. There is no sweeter in the sense than our sin. In the land of soul, only there.
And I was getting ready to pull a card for us, and one just flew out, of course. So I'm pulling from one of my favorite decks, which is the Isis Oracle deck. And the card that popped out is the Abundance card. Surprise, surprise. I was like, let me take a moment. It just was like, no, we're here, baby. Um, so let me go ahead. Yes, Paula, yes. Oh my God, I love that. I'm so happy to be here. Um, yeah, totally. You don't have to mention your name. I don't have to read any of your stuff. Yeah, of course. Um, Definitely. I believe the way I have this set for the replay, yeah, I don't even think that they can see the people up top. So I think you should be good to go. I think it's just all me. Don't you worry. Okay, so let's see. The abundance card, where'd you go? Right. Actually, let me see if I can figure out a way to send this to you guys. If I can take a picture. I don't know if I can do it. But okay. So the little message in the abundance card is abundance in many forms is flowing to you now, beloved. Intend right now to receive it. The oracle of the abundance of, and this is a word that I can't really pronounce, Sothis, comes as guidance to expect increased flow and to continue your good works of building channels through which abundance can be delivered to you. Freely share your talents. So that's one of the things that we're going to be moving through, especially in the breath work, is really releasing whatever is holding us back from being visible, putting ourselves out there, really stepping into our fullest expression. Um, it is your responsibility to be focused on yourself and enjoy the abundance that is flowing to you in many forms over and over again. And that makes so much sense because we are also in the midst of the feminine wealth vault, and we have one of the most lovely experts here with us, Paula Lakabara, who is one of the experts in the feminine wealth vault. And to me, this card, pulling this card, is just such an indication of this being the most perfect time for the feminine wealth vault. So I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. Exactly. Freely share your talents. Yeah, love that. So yes, and I love, Paula, what you said, creating beautiful experiences for women in beautiful destinations. I feel that, and I think we're starving for that after the last few years. Like we are starving to be in person with each other, to be connected with each other in a deeper way. So, okay. So what I want you to do right now, and I'm going to turn some music on so that you can journal. I want you to sit with what are you ready to release from your winter? What are you like fully ready to bury, to put to bed, right? Again, that winter season that is death, it's decay, it's shedding. You know, we think like the leaves fall on the ground and then they decay and they turn into the soil that and enrich the soil for the seeds that are planted in the spring, right? So, like, what are you ready to fully let go of? And, or what are the lessons that you're taking from this winter season? Because again, winter being this time of decay, of releasing, of shedding that fertilizes the ground. So, like, what are you learning or taking in that's fertilizing these new desires? So, I'm going to give you just about 5-ish minutes to journal.
My lips to something living. My teeth around the world. Like I wanna smell the dinner cooking. I wanna feel the edges start to burn. Whatever is still to come, the next thing when she gets free, then watch the dressing start to peel. It's the time I comes enough for everyone.
And one of my favorite questions to ask myself, especially if there's something that I feel a little stuck on, like a little, I'm just gonna say it, victimy, right? A little like, ugh. I can't believe this is still going on. That's so, like, there's no good in that. Is I'm such a genius for creating this, whatever it is, because, and then you go through it. So, I think as a lot of us have gone through dark nights of the soul, voids, death and rebirth, or just the death aspect. And sometimes we can get a little caught in it of like, not really seeing all the gifts or not really appreciating it for what it gave us. And so one of my favorite questions is like, I'm such a genius that this is happening because, and then what are you learning from it, right? Or what are you getting? And that gets to be a question that we can ask when, again, we feel like a situation, an experience, whatever might have a little too much power over us. And so we're like not really like letting it go because we're still feeling kind of victimy around it, which is fine. Like we get to feel victimy around things and transcend and transform them. So, is there anything, and no pressure, but does anybody want to share some of the things that they're releasing or letting go of or finally putting to bed? And again, no pressure to share. And of course, if you're watching the replay, you can share with me or in the community. And what we're going to do now is move into the releasing embodiment, the somatic pieces, releasing shame, hiding, love that. Discouragement, things out of alignment, releasing stories that still hold me back. Yes, yes, lingering doubts. I love all of this. And again, what's most personal is most universal. Like what you're going through, I have no doubt so many other women either on this call or the replay or in your life or in the world are going through because again, I really feel like the last 4 years, 5 years, I guess, since the pandemic, women who are into personal development on the path of the feminine, releasing perfectionism, yeah, totally. We have been in this like pressure cooker of growth. I do not know a woman in my community, colleague, friend who has not gone through a breakup or divorce. Hi, breakup. Has not burned their business to the ground. Hi, did that too. Has not gone through a massive death and rebirth portal. Has not gone through the void. Has not had a loss or a death in their family or a health scare or serious health issues, right? There has been this like again, it just feels like pressure cooker, exponential growth energy for women to really shed so much of the patriarchy, of the good girl, of the like domesticated feminine that needs to be sugar and spice and everything nice so that she's picked by a man because that's all we can ever want in life, right? Men too, definitely. Um, and I think that again, because so many of us have gone through some kind of internal winter, and it feels like collectively a lot of us are coming out of that into the spring. Um, there there is a massive shedding. So I also want to just remind you that one, you'll have access to this replay, but two, you might feel like you're shedding things for a while. And with things like the spring equinox, it's usually at least 3 days, 3 to 5 days after that, we're like still feeling this energy. So allow yourself to shed, to release, to put these things to bed, however long you need to. Lots of walking through fire. I love that analogy. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move into the breath work. So if you've never done breath work before, breath work is honestly one of my favorite embodiment tools. It's such a beautiful way to shed, to release, to alchemize things inside of our nervous system. And one of the reasons why I love breath work is there is this like instant integration. You're not just like dredging things up and then kind of left re-traumatized. So I'm gonna walk you through. We're gonna do about 7 minutes, which is a shorter breath work, but I think it, we'll get a lot of the job done. We're gonna do what's called a connected breath. So it's gonna be in through your mouth, out through your mouth at whatever pace you want, and you don't pause in between. So it's like and the thing with breath work is you're surrendering to your body. So your body might want to move, it might want to shake, you might want to sound, you might feel yourself like feel your muscles tense up. Keep breathing. Now, I will say this, if you start to feel yourself being somehow re-triggered, re-traumatized, very uncomfortable, just return yourself to a normal breath pattern and just lie there. Right? You can also shake or get up and dance and shake. That's another way to shed things out of your nervous system. So I prefer to lay down for breath work. You can do this seated. If you don't want to do breath work, again, you can get up, you can just shake, you can yell, you can, move your hips, whatever you like to do to release things from your body is what you want to be doing. So again, we're going to do about 7 minutes here. And I want you to have the intention of the things that you're shedding at the forefront of your mind, right? And again, especially with breath work, if you find yourself starting to like zone out or like disconnect, just come back to your breath, focus on what are the sensations in your body. And another really great way to ground yourself during breath work is to just be like, I'm safe. It is safe to release this. I am safe. And again, if you start to feel too overwhelmed, trust your body, trust your nervous system. Just return to a normal breath, return to seated, whatever feels best for you. Okay. So, with that, my loves, and I will prompt you through it. So, just go ahead and close your eyes and begin to breathe deeply, slowing your breath down and beginning to relax from head to toe. And as you slow your breath down, just feeling your body relax deeper and deeper. And now what I want you to do is to begin to connect your breath in through your mouth and out through your mouth. Oh, you can sound, you can move, you can let your voice be heard in this releasing. Whatever emotions or memories come up, just allowing your breath to move them out of your body. It is safe to let these go. It is safe to release. Continuing to breathe. It is safe to let this go. It is safe to release this now. I can release the scarcity and be loved. I can release this scarcity in my body and be safe. And again, just allowing your body to move if it needs to move, to sound if you need to sound. Your voice is important. You get to be heard. Release all that you're holding that you don't need. Letting it go and continuing to breathe. Continuing to breathe and release. You're doing so well. It's safe to let this all go. You are held. You are safe. You are supported. Continuing to breathe. You're doing so well. Sounding if you need to. If you're feeling something really stuck, give it a voice. Thank it for everything it's done for you. These parts of you, these stories have been working so hard to keep you safe, to keep you small, because your unconscious equates smallness with safety. But you no longer need them. It is safe to be your fullest expression. It is safe to step into your feminine power. Breathing in through your mouth, out through your mouth, in through your mouth, out through your mouth. And what else is ready to be released? What else are you ready to let go of? Breathing deeply. It's safe to shed it now. It's safe to put all of these stories, all of this conditioning to bed. And what else is there? 6 minutes here. Let it all go. Leave it all behind you. You can trust yourself. You can trust your body. Give it all you got here. Shedding the scarcity, shedding the perfectionism, shedding the self-doubts, shedding the apologizing for yourself, shedding the things that are out of alignment. Just a few more breaths, letting it all go. And now I want you to begin to slow your breath back to a normal breath pace for yourself. If there's anything lingering that you need to shake out or yell, just coming back to the present moment, but allowing yourself to integrate, allowing yourself to just sit and resettle. You need to write anything down, anchor anything in. If anybody feels like sharing, you're more than welcome to. You can also unmute yourself if you want to share or share in the comments, but no pressure to share. I think breathwork is one of the most profound, simple and profound tools and underrated. I need to feel my wild woman more deeply. Girl, I hear you. Like, literally had that thought today. In fact, when I was getting ready for this, I was like, I'm gonna brush my curls out. Like, I want to feel so untamed for this call. But yeah, you're a wild woman. Beautiful experience, shedding need for approval and recognition. I love that. I love that. And again, you're not alone. We're so deeply conditioned as women to feel a sense of safety when we're approved of, right? And approved of by society, meaning we have to kind of like fit into this good girl mold, right? I have to be nice. Everybody needs to like me. Everybody needs to be comfortable around me. Because if I'm likable and everybody's comfortable around me, then I'll be safe, right? And that primal fear of not being safe is so deep and is so understandable. So inside the vault, my offering, I talk deeply about the core wounds of the feminine, aka the witch wounds, and why so many of us are coming up against these edges around visibility, wealth, abundance, sensuality, pleasure, and it feels so unsafe in our bodies because for hundreds, if not thousands of years, it was unsafe for women to be doing, acting, saying, having the things that we do. Now, it is safe for us to do, have, say, be the women that we are. And there is a lot currently going on globally and here in the United States. Even recently wasn't safe. Yes. And there are ways it's still very unsafe for us as women, right? Especially here in the United States. And quite frankly, they're trying to make it even more unsafe for us. So that fear, I just want one from me to you to acknowledge it deeply. Like that, it's not some weird thing or some weird wound that you have. It makes sense. And I also want you to acknowledge that within yourself. Like these parts of you that you're shedding right now, that you're letting go of around like perfectionism or uh not choosing yourself, needing approval. Those were things that you were taught or you learned or you experienced to keep you safe. So there is a beauty and a gratitude and an appreciation for those parts of ourselves. And the way that I work and operate and mentor is like it truly is through love and acceptance that we transform. So yeah, very useful to acknowledge it was trying to keep us safe, but we don't need it anymore. Exactly. I think a lot of this is early childhood wounds. It's early childhood wounds and it's patriarchal wounds, quite frankly. It's what we learned from all of our lineage. Like I did a podcast episode with one of the other experts in the vault, and I said, like, the reality is some woman in your lineage was either put to death by the church or stifled all of their spiritual connection to the feminine, their pleasure, their voice to stay safe. And or both, right? Like because that's the reality of being a woman in the patriarchy 2000 years in. Like we were the way I kind of see a lot of this conditioning is like our female ancestors like gift wrap this as like this is the way that you stay safe. This is the way that you fit in the patriarchy. You stay safe, you don't make waves, you're not too loud. You're the best thing you can do is get married and marry a rich man because that's the only way you can have power as a woman. It's like that gift was just like passed down, passed down, passed down, passed down, and we got it and we're like, okay, but actually like we don't need to operate this way anymore. So, with all of that, with all of the shedding, again, you might feel like you need to keep shedding things. You might need to keep journaling. You might need to somatically be moving things through your body, whatever it is. And after this ritual, you might find yourself wanting to take like a salt bath or like just unplug for the rest of the night, okay? Trust your body and your nervous system. So, with that, I want us to now move into what are we planting for the spring. So another thing, if you want, because again, we are in Aries season, the spring equinox is a fire festival, you can take the things that you're shedding, write them down, light them on fire, watch that motherfucker burn, whatever you feel like you need to do. Um, but we're going to move into what are the seeds that you're planting. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to, if you want to journal, and then I'm going to lead you through a guided meditation and a pleasure practice and then we'll be done. I promise. Okay, so go ahead and what are the seeds that you're planting? What are the desires now that are bubbling up? Who is the woman that you're stepping into? And if there was like no fear of consequence, if everybody was going to be happy for you, nobody would get hurt, if you knew you could have whatever you wanted, what is it that you desire? And as you look at these desires, what is it that you need to support them? Like, who do you need to be? But also, what rituals, practices, intentions do you need, right? So, Paul, I'm just going to use you as an example. So, talking about really reawakening your wild woman, it's like, do you need 5 minutes every day to connect to her? Do you need to make a wild woman altar? Do you need to go out and buy tons of leopard print, right? Like, what, in what ways can you support being the woman that has these desires? Because how we create as a woman from the feminine is it's desire based, it's emotion based, right? It is the being comes first before the physical reality, right? So it's like I have if you have desires for your business or your career or a sense of confidence or your body, it's like when you have that, who do you imagine yourself being? When you have the thing, how do you imagine yourself moving through the world? What beliefs do you see yourself having? And as much as I hate this phrase, it in a way is a fake it till you make it, right? You have to step into the beingness first before the havingness, which is like the hardest effing thing to do, like if we're being honest, because I feel like if you're here, you're the same to me where we're highly intelligent, high achieving, usually operating from the neck up. And it's like, I want the proof. I want the proof that this is working. I want the proof that I get to have that. And then I'll be, the person. But it's unfortunately the other way around. Always. All right. So with that, we're going to move into a meditation where we're going to be like connecting to this version of yourself. And then I'm going to lead you right into what I call pleasure magic. It could also be sex magic. It doesn't have to be sex magic, but it's the same principles of bringing pleasure to your body, bringing turn on to your body. So you're going to get up and move. You're going to dance. You can do hip circles, whatever you need. But what you're going to be doing is anchoring into your nervous system this identity that you're stepping into through pleasure. So just as a little tangent, the basis of sex magic is using sexual turn on and sexual energy. That's fine. Thank you so much for being here. Is using sexual energy and sexual turn on to manifest, to create, to step into that identity. You can do that with just pleasure in general. And to me, self-pleasuring is creating a sense of pleasure in your body with yourself. So that can be more sexual turn on towards orgasm, towards climax. One of the ways I love to do it is I dance or I just like will really slowly caress my body. Again, not really in a sexual way, but in a like, I'm feeling pleasure in my body. Because what this does is it creates oxytocin, which one regulates your nervous system. So it gets you out of any stress mode. But two, it really like in a way I don't know a better way to explain it, but like short circuits your unconscious to collapse the time to being that woman. Like you're using pleasure to anchor in the embodiment. So go ahead and close your eyes right now and just take a deep breath. If you need to shake it off, we're just going to drop in here. And I want you to see yourself in a clearing, like in a field. So drop in and you see yourself in this field. Maybe you feel the grass or the dirt under you. Maybe you smell the beginnings of spring or the rain. And up ahead, you see a path. And you get to this path and you step over that threshold and you instantly feel grounded, safe. And up ahead, you see a fire, like a fire pit, a campfire. And you begin to walk towards this fire. And you notice in your hand is something that symbolizes whatever it is that you're releasing. Whatever you've been releasing and the old identity, whatever beliefs, stories you're shedding. You see something that symbolizes it in your hand. Maybe you see a piece of paper with it all written down, whatever it is. And I want you to thank this embodiment of what you're releasing. Thank you so much for protecting me, for keeping me safe in all the ways you knew how. And I no longer need you. And I'm ready to release you now. And I want you to go ahead and throw that object into the fire, allowing the goddess, the universe, to transmute this energy. And now you look to your right, and it's so weird, but there's a giant mirror. And you step in front of the mirror, and you're looking at the version of you that has the desires that you wrote down. And you notice what you're wearing, how you're holding yourself. What are you thinking as you stare back at this version of you that has everything that you're desiring and more? What does this version of you look like? What is she wearing? What is she feeling? And quite honestly, what is the message that she has for you? This version of you who's staring back at you in this mirror. This might be the first time that you're connecting with her. Do you have any questions for her? What is it that you need to know? And whenever you're ready, I want you to just slowly begin to move your hips so slowly.
Sift through water from the bottom of the pool. You're moving without moving.
And I want you to bring your energy and attention down to your pussy, down to that sacral chakra, to the turn on, to your power. And as you continue to move, maybe making bigger hip circles or starting to move in a different way, you're embodying this version of yourself.
Shake like a violin tree. You're doing it to me. Oh, baby. You are the rate of movement.
Continuing to move your body. You can stand up. You can move your hands through your hair or along your body.
Or for staring sequence on you.
Anchoring into the energy, to the emotions of the woman who has your desires.
I can recall something that's gone from me. Then you move, honey, I'm putting on for something so flawed and free. Some Shake like a
And I want you to feel the pleasure in your body. Feel the excitement, the pleasure of being this version of yourself. You are her now. It is safe to be her now. And anchoring that version of you in. Whenever you're ready. You can keep going as long as you want. You can come back, start to come back into the present moment. And now from this place, checking in, what does this version of you need as you move forward into spring and you're planting these seeds of your desires? What rituals, what actions, what support does this version of you need? And whenever that feels complete, if there's anything the two of you who are left on the live call want to share, feel free to share. You can share it in the comments, or if you want to unmute yourself, feel free to do that. Let me know how that was for you, what came up, how you're feeling now, any or all of the things.
Oh, it feels amazing.
Oh my God, I love it. Honestly, and having you here, Paula, is just like such a joy and a dream, and just like watching you, I'm like, yes, this is the point. This is it.
That's why.
And I just like love being in community with all of you. And so before we part ways for the night, I do surprising version I've never seen before. Yes, I love that. Oh my God, that is the power of the feminine, my love. So with that, I do want to share that we currently are open for you to get a ticket for the Feminine Wealth Vault. And the Feminine Wealth Vault is a co-creative space with 9 other incredible experts, Paula being one of them. And these women are thought leaders, game changers, and they have contributed courses, workshops, activations all around feminine wealth in one space for you. And today I was realizing that like most of the women who have contributed content for the vault charge 6 figures to work with them privately. So like if you wanted to hire everybody who is part of the vault, like you're spending like multiple 6 figures, if not 7 figures, and they've all come together in one space. Like the vortex is unmatched. And so to me, as I said, we've all walked through fire over the last few years. And I feel like what us as feminine leaders are really being called into is feminine wealth. So wealth that is truly aligned with our purpose, our morals, our embodiment, and wealth, yes, financially, because I personally think that what we need now more than ever is spiritually grounded and turned on women holding more wealth and power. So, yes, how to make more money, how to hold more money, how to be that version of you that is like wealthy, but also wealth in every area of your life. So, feeling nourished spiritually, being in a community and a sisterhood where you feel seen and you're never too much, feeling really grounded and regulated in your nervous system, living from pleasure and turn on. To me, that is feminine wealth. It is all encompassing wealth. And so, again, I'm so excited because these experts are women that I love, respect, have known for a long time, have admired for a long time. And I love cultivating a space where you have access to all of these experts, their wisdom, their activations, and where we're really merging and blending communities. Because again, I think that what so many of us are deeply craving is sisterhood, and which is why I'm so excited for one of Paula's desires, right? And curating beautiful spaces and beautiful events for women in beautiful destinations. And so the Feminine Wealth Vault, you can buy a ticket to access all of these women's content. Now, you have lifetime access to the content. And over the next 2 weeks, we're going to do more calls like this inside of the vault in the community. So I'm going to be leading more rituals, more activations. We're also going to be getting together, getting to know each other, talking about the content. Like, I'm not going to lie, I've been going through the content. Like, it's so good. It's so, so good. And so we're going to be talking about, like, what are you learning? What are you getting? What's this activating in you? What are you afraid is going to happen if you actually step into, Paula's activation and course is amazing around feminine energy and money and receiving. Like, what are you afraid is going to happen if you allow yourself to receive more and really cultivating this community? So you can get access to the vault at themagneticwoman.com/vault. And, or if you are listening to this because one of the incredible experts told you to, sent this to you, use their link because part of this being a co-collaborative event is the expert that you're following or who brought you in gets commission, right? Like this is really what feminine wealth is. And so it's about when I rise, we all rise. When you rise, we all rise. And that is what we're here for, what we're moving into. And yes, it's a content vault, which sounds low key kind of boring, but it's actually like a revolution. It's an initiation. Content in there includes like shifting somatically into luxury pricing. So how to charge 30, 50, 100K for a package. Paula's around feminine energy and receiving money. We have somebody who did human design and your cycle, human design in the womb. So, like, how to use your human design and your menstrual cycle to really like activate your creative power. One of the women is hers is healing the witch and the priestess wound. Mine's about pleasure as your power and the portal. We have now I can't remember all of them because they're so good. The fawn response and money. Amber is going to be talking about like breaking out of being a good girl and the dark feminine. Like it is honestly such an incredible experience and such an incredible activation. And again, you have lifetime access to the content. So you can get it at themagneticwoman.com/vault. Or again, if one of the experts sent you this ritual, use their link. Like, or if you use my link, let me know that Paula sent you or Amber sent you or Jessica sent you or whoever so that they get the commission. Because again, the whole point of this is that we're moving into a space where like capitalism is not inherently bad, but like we've also seen how damaging some of the capitalistic structures can be and how it's like all of the wealth held by a few white men or like at the top. And this is really about shifting wealth into the hands of women and in a way creating our own fucking economy. Like that is a vision that I have is like creating a community where we're hiring each other and collaborating with each other and working with each other and circulating money within the community because it is statistically proven that women that have money do better for the world with money than men do. Statistically, on average, right? Like if you want to see a community thrive, empower the women in that community financially because how women use money and how they support the community. So, anyways, with that, thank you so much for being here. Again, if you're watching the replay, please reach out. Let me know what you got from this ritual. If you're joining the vault, then there is a closed community as part of that. So if you're joining the vault, you can talk about the ritual there. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, my loves, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, honey. It was awesome. Thank you. Perfect.
Bye.
Bye.